Hey, so I wanted to pop on and talk you guys through the stuff you didn't get to see. So if you go back and watch the videos, you're with me from early labor where not much is happening through actually through transition, which I didn't realize that last video where I'm laying on the bed, I didn't know then, but I know now was really I was in transition, and that's why they were so intense for me. Yeah, so after you were with me till about 11 p.m., this was Friday night, and that's when my team got there. So at that point, I had to switch to just recording things. And so like I said, I didn't know then that I was really very ramping up. So she was born at 1 in the morning. So my team was actually only with me for 2 hours. So if I had gone to a hospital at that point, it would have only been 2 hours before she was born. So, hi, am I waking you up? So sorry. So yeah, then my team got there and I was still laying there, and contractions were exactly as you saw. They were about every 5.5 minutes apart, and they were lasting like 2.5 minutes. And so normally contractions they're supposed to be about a minute. And so if they are much longer than that, it can kind of tell you something about baby's position or yada yada. And so in our case, she was posterior, and I knew that she wasn't positioned well, and we had been trying to flip her, but she was not flipping. And you never really know exactly why they're not flipping. It could be something to do with the cord. It could be your pelvis. It could be them. You don't really know. So for me, one thing with preparing for birth is I personally think that it's important to have the birth that you like, to know what you want from birth, but to understand that you don't get to just dictate everything. A posterior baby, basically what that means is baby's supposed to be head down, but their back is supposed to be out towards your belly, and their face is supposed to be in towards your organs. And so she was flipped the other way around. She was head down, but she was facing out towards my belly. So the way that they come through the birth canal, if they come through posterior, it is more difficult, and it can cause a lot of back labor, things like that. And so I didn't want that. So we were trying to flip her, but so I had back labor with my son, and oh no, are you waking up finally? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I did not want back labor again. So that was one of my big things that I was trying to plan and prep for and not have. But again, I think it's important when there's something that you really don't want to happen in birth. I think it's important not to focus on it happening, to focus on what you want to happen. But I think it's important to have a moment that you sit down and you say, okay, like you look that thing in the face. You say, okay, under what circumstance am I okay with this thing happening? And so, for example, I really did not want a C-section. I didn't want it. I was really afraid of it, especially, I didn't really think about that much with this birth, but with my son, my first birth, super afraid of it. So like, okay, with my son, I had to be like, in what circumstance am I okay with that happening? And obviously, like, if it's life and death and keeping him alive, then I'm okay with it. And with her, so I thought about back labor, and in early labor, I sat myself down. I'm like, okay, my back is hurting. In what circumstance am I okay in accepting and supportive of back labor? And then this thought came to me like, well, if she's coming out in a way that causes me more pain because it's how she has to come out to stay safe, then I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with more pain if it means she's safe and healthy. So I'm just going to trust that I'm going to do everything that I can to get her to rotate. But I'm going to trust that if she doesn't, then it's not my fault. It's not her fault, but it's it's because that's the position that keeps her safe for whatever reason. And she did. I had back labor for the whole time, and I did not enjoy it. And she actually had a very short cord. So, I mean, can't really prove exactly why, but I feel confident that she did her best and I did my best. So yeah, you were with me till like 11. I was in transition on the bed. My team got there. They came in the room and they just, did the general check over, see how I was doing, monitored my blood pressure and heart and, that kind of stuff, listened to baby. So I was there probably like a couple contractions, which looked exactly like it does in the video if you go back and watch it. And then my team was like, well, we know that she's not positioned well, so why don't we try to go do some more rebozo? And there is some rebozo in some of the videos. If you go back and watch. And they did it a little more like, they were a little bit more aggressive about it, which I'm fine with because they're trained and know what they're doing. And so, yeah, we left the bed. They had been filling up the tub. It was almost ready for me to get in. And so they said, well, do you want to stop off at the bathroom before we go do the rebozo and then get in the tub? I said, sure. So we I went to the bathroom, went pee, had like a contraction or two there, got up, went to the rest of the way down the hall. It's a very short distance. Got on my hands and knees for the rebozo. I think we did like 3 contractions of rebozo probably. We were doing it in between the contractions. So like we did it like 3 times. And I mean, I was in a sweatshirt and sweatpants and, yeah, on the last time I was like, my body is pushing and I could not even believe it. They'd been there like maybe an hour and I was like, my body's pushing. And then they were like, let's get her in the tub because I wanted a water birth. I have no statistics for it at the moment, but in my experience and in my belief, I think water births are amazing. The water is really supportive and it helps tissues stretch. And so in my experience, there's a lot less tearing and things with water births. I'm sure people have had water births and still had tears, just my belief and experience. So yeah, they were like, let's get her in the tub. And so I got in the tub and I was in the tub for like 20 minutes or so, I think, and her water broke. If you don't know what that feels like, it literally feels like a water balloon breaking, except inside your body. And that's what mine felt like, at least. It was very distinct for me with my son. It was very distinct with her. No, I didn't have C-section. We had a successful home birth. I was talking about facing your fears, not focusing on your fears, focusing on what you want in pregnancy, but facing your fears. So I was just talking about C-sections for a minute, but no, we had a successful home birth. So yeah, her water broke. My son has a sensory hammock, which is like amazing. You should look them up if you have a rambunctious little one. They're super fun and it holds a lot of weight. I don't know the rating, but they actually set up the pool. My husband set up the pool right underneath it and he changed the height of it so I could like hold onto it. So that was really, really useful. I had that. And so I was in the pool. Everything was fine until her water broke. When her water broke, her heart rates started dropping drastically. So this is where things took a turn, and it was the sensations were very intense. I was in a lot. I mean, I felt a lot. It was a lot of pain. I know that there are some amazing birth stories where people are like, no, I just felt pressure. I just felt this. I definitely felt pain. I was in a lot of pain. So my water broke and then her heart started dropping, and it's normal for a baby's heart to drop during pushing. But they like it to stay. This is my foggy postpartum brain. So this is not a medical advice, but in my memory at this moment, they like it to stay, I think, no lower, no drop no lower than like 90. And hers was dropping to like 60s. And so I knew that that was bad. I could tell by my team's reaction that it was not good. So I heard someone say, and now we're going to do continuous monitoring. So in a home birth setting, so at like a hospital, they have you like a monitor hooked around you. So they are continuously monitoring the heart rates. And studies have shown that you don't need to do that unless there's an issue. And so in home birth situations and in birth center situations, they don't have you hooked to that monitor 24/7, but they check in regularly with baby's heart rate. And so I knew when they said we're switching to continuous monitoring, I knew, okay, that means something. And you could tell my team was incredible, so incredible. But you could tell that, their tone had changed a little bit and that they were watching something. And just from my own experience, I knew 60s was too low, 70s was too low, 80s was too low. I didn't even like the 90, so I was aware. And we went like a couple of contractions and it kept dipping. She was rebounding really well. So when the contraction would stop, she would go back up to where she needed to be, her heart rate. So that was a really good sign, but it meant when I said my body is pushing, I was having fetal ejection response, which means like my body, I was not consciously choosing to push. My body was like, get out of here. So we did a couple of contractions with that happening, and she dipped too low with like all of them. But again, she was rebounding. And at some point they checked me to see where she was. So when I was in the bathroom, it was such a fast process, you guys. When I was in the bathroom, she had not descended at all. And then we came out, we did rebozo. I was like, my body is pushing. And then I checked when I got in the tub, and she had, she was probably like an inch and a half, like lower, and which was very surprising to me, because that's not how it was with my son at all. I was like, whoa, that was like my body pushing once and she's moving. So, so they checked me again because they wanted to know, I mean, with the heart tones dropping really low, you need to know, is she close to coming out, or is she stuck? What are we looking at? Are we going to have to transfer? Is there time to transfer? Yada, yada, yada. So they checked and she was getting very close. And so we collectively made the decision to just call EMS and have them there in case she needed an aggressive resuscitation. Because where I was at, there was no like time. It was faster and safer to have EMS here waiting than it was to try to go to a hospital and have her probably be born in a car or anything like that. So again, they weren't terrified of the situation. They were being overly precautious, which I really appreciate. I expressed so much to them that my biggest thing is I need them to keep her safe. So if that means we have to transfer, then we transfer. If that means we need extra backup, we get extra backup. Like whatever it means, I want her safe. And so they really did that. They could have not done that and not called EMS, but I was totally on board. Like if you think that there is a microscopic chance that we're going to need them, then call them. I'm fine with that. So my son, my 2-year-old, was awake. He woke up at like 11:30, and so he was with the nanny and hanging out, and he is obsessed with fire trucks. So he was kind of like buzzing around. So when a fire truck and an ambulance rolled up, he was like in heaven. So he got to put his jacket on and go outside and like go on the fire truck and go inside the ambulance and do all sorts of cool stuff for him. So night of his life. So EMS rolls in and they are like 4 of the biggest people I've ever seen in my entire life. I didn't even see them then though. My back was to the door and they came in and my team was like, don't pay attention. Like, just do what you're doing. I am, I, this is why, okay, so this is exactly why I talk a lot about pelvic floor PT and stretching and yoga and just the things that prep your body, spinning babies to get baby in a good position. Like if there's anything you can do to get baby in a better position, in the best birth position, do it now, because a posterior birth, it is not fun. My team was actually like, we can't believe how well that, like, your body handled that, because her position was just not good. So yeah, I was in a lot of pain and I definitely had I had moments. I was like, I can't do this. And my team was amazing. So this birth, I tried to be really a better advocate for myself and say things out loud and tell them, like my hips squeeze or my back push or higher, lower, for counter pressure. I tried to say, when her water broke, I called it out. I said, water broke. When, yeah, so when I was feeling emotional things, and so this is the whole thing that like my programs work with. They work with like telling you the stuff you say and the stuff you don't say, and the types of support you need and the types of support that affect you negatively, all that type of stuff. And because my first birth went so sideways because of how I was interacted with, I ended up with a lot of trauma. And so this time I tried to do it very differently. I tried to take my own advice, basically, and it worked. I'm blown away at how I feel post this birth versus my first birth. So I was pretty vocal about a lot of things. And so I think somewhere in my mind, my earliest impressions of birth, I had this idea that I was given this idea that the way you are supposed to like successfully handle birth is by being like quiet and stoic and just like doing it. And I don't feel that way anymore. Like if you need to let out a yell, you let out a yell. If you need to say, fuck, this hurts, you say, fuck, this hurts. If you need to say, I can't do this, you say, I can't do this. Because the people who are supposed to be supporting you can't support you if they don't know what's going on with you. And so that doesn't necessarily mean like you lose control and you're hitting and you're throwing things and you're just going bananas, but it does mean like it's intense and it's okay that it's intense and you don't have to hide that it's intense. And so I wasn't, and my team was amazingly responsive, and I remember being very vocal and like yelling a little bit while I was pushing. And I mean, my body was pushing and I was like letting it, and I remember being like, fuck. Basically, I think that's what I was saying, like, fuck. And I remember my team being like, it's it's okay. It's okay that it's huge. It's okay that it's a big feeling. It's okay. Like, that's okay. And that was like really reassuring. And they were just so kind and so present with me. And they gave me a lot of great instructions. And so yeah, EMS rolled in and they were still they were constantly calling out what her heart rate was. So I was trying very hard to make sure. I was trying very hard to pay attention to what was happening with my body when her heart rate was dropping, and to see what was happening with my body when her heart rate was coming back up. One of the things I'm really skilled at is pattern recognition. So I was trying to utilize my own skills. Again, knowing that I'm good at that is from the work I did in my thesis, the program I developed. So I so glad, like everything that I did to make that program saved me in this birth. So I paid attention to those things, and I realized pretty quickly, okay, her heart rate comes back up pretty fast when I hold my body in this very specific position. but it was very hard to hold my body in that position. And it was almost impossible to hold my body in that position while I was having fetal ejection response. So I began asking them to continuously call out what her heart was when I was having a contraction. That way I could like try to, um, I could try extra hard to fight it off or like to back that response off or to hold my body in the way that it needed to be when her heart was lower than it should be. Um, so, um, okay, sorry, I'm confused about a comment, but anyway, I'll read it after. Yeah, so that was like actually a pretty successful technique, and her heart, I think it was dropping to like 80, mid 70s, which is still too low, but it wasn't 60s and below, you know. And so it was like she was born, I think somewhere around 12:30 is when water broke and things started getting hairy. And then she was born at 1. And so I didn't even remember that these like EMS and firemen were behind me. And they were so big. I swear there was like 12 of them. Apparently there was only 4. They took up like the whole room. And so they were just standing there. When they got there, my team kind of said, you know, we are concerned about baby's heart tones. We just need you here just in case. So just stand back and be here. And they were like, okay. And so after she was born, she came out. So the easiest way for baby to come out is like this. They come out like this, looking down. And then as they come out, they kind of do this and like, and then they turn and come out. But she came out looking at my leg. So she was sideways. She came out looking at my leg, and she came out like the top of her head, not like this point and then slowly getting bigger, but like that top of her head. Here she comes. So, so it was much wider than if she had been positioned differently, and that made it much more difficult. So she, yeah, I was in the tub, and her head came out, and then they kind of helped maneuver her a little bit. And then when they tried, like, they had to do some extra maneuvers. She came out with a cord wrapped around her neck, and that's pretty common. But normally they just pull it right off. But because her cord was so short, it was so tight that was what was causing all the problems, her short cord. And I don't really know. I don't know if that was the reason she couldn't turn or not, because I had a anterior placenta, and so the placenta was on the front of my stomach. So for her to be spun the other way, the cord had to go from the front of my stomach, like around her neck, and then back down and around her body to the front of her body for her to be spun the right way. Like there was an extra turn there. So I don't know if she just didn't have room or what, but we had to like kind of pause there and maneuver my body, and then they got the cord off of her neck, and then we pulled her up out of the water onto my body, and she was okay. They gave her when they put her on my body, they wanted to make sure like they said that she's okay, obviously. And so she got a couple aggressive rubs from the midwife, from the team. I don't even know if it was the midwife, but from somebody. It might have even been my husband. And she let out a good squawk, and the room took a sigh. And I didn't see it, but I heard that some of the EMS guys were like at the whole thing. At one point, right after she was born, somebody said, her water's in the kitchen. Can you grab her water? And one of the EMS guys that was like, I'll go get it. He like booked it out of the room. So it was pretty great. And then I had the seat inside the pool that we had. The seat was on the other side. So after I had her, I flipped around to sit on the seat so I could relax a little bit. And that's when I looked up and I was like, oh, there's a room full of giant men in my house that I don't know. I was like, oh, hi. And they were like, hey. So they asked them just to hang out for an extra minute, just as they, got to stats and made sure baby was stable, I was stable. And yeah, after a couple minutes, they were like, all right, guys, so everything looks great. You can head out of here. Thanks for coming over. And they were like, thanks for letting us be part of this. And then they took off. So it was pretty eventful in that sense. I'm sure some of my neighbors were like, what is happening? I was actually kind of surprised that we haven't had like a knock on the door yet. Like, are you okay? But yeah. So after that, we got out of the tub and we switched to the couch, but my couch was really like saggy, I guess, like it's too squishy. So it's not big. I couldn't like really lay down, and I was my uterus was foggy. I don't really know. It's squishy. It wasn't firming up well. Apparently my uterus likes to do that. So what's supposed to happen after is that, so when your placenta comes out, we delivered the placenta in the tub. We did delayed cord clamping, so we kept her attached to it. They just put the placenta in a bowl, looked over all of it to make sure it wasn't missing anything, because if it's missing a piece, that means that piece could still be stuck inside you, and you need to get it out. So basically, when the placenta comes off, it's like the size of a dinner plate. That whole surface area is a wound. And so what happens is that's like, imagine if you had open skin all here, like that's going to be a lot of bleeding. And so what happens is as your uterus contracts, it closes off all of those like capillaries and it stops the bleeding. But if your uterus doesn't respond and it doesn't like firm up and keep contracting and contract enough and stay firm because it's tired or whatever reason, then you keep bleeding. And so that's what my uterus likes to do. It happened with my son, which was much more understandable because it was a really crazy labor and my whole body was spent with him. But it did it this time too. Yay. So yeah, they were not happy with the amount of bleeding that was happening. And so we switched to the bed. Since I was doing a home birth, I had a guest bed upstairs that was set up with like crappy sheets, basically like a sheet I don't care about, and then a shower curtain, and then a sheet I don't care about, a shower curtain. You kind of like layer it. And yeah, so we switched to that bed, and we had like big pads, like big Chucks pads and stuff. So the blood actually, like there's no blood anywhere in my house. So we switched to that bed, and they gave me a shot of Pitocin when I was in the tub right after she was born. Because of how I bled with my son, I lost like almost 2 liters of blood with my son. And so we knew there was the potential that I would bleed a lot again. I think this is my postpartum foggy brain. This is not medical fact statistics for you guys, but in what I can tell you right now from my brain only, I'm pretty sure if you have a hemorrhage in a previous birth, it's like increased chances you're going to have another one. So we had, even though it was home birth, we had talked about a plan. And I said, I'm totally fine with you making an executive decision in the moment, assess it based on your medical knowledge. And if you think I need the shot of PIT, just give me the shot of PIT. Like I want to be alive with my kids and my husband. So, do what you got to do. So they gave me a shot of PIT in the tub just based on how much blood came out initially. And then we got to the bed. They did some fundal massage, which I don't know why they call it massage. They should call it fundal torture. So that's basically where they find the top of your uterus, your fundus, and they push the crap out of your uterus to squish it down, to squish any blood out, to any blood clots out. Because again, if you have clots in there that are staying in there, they're keeping it from closing, keeping you bleeding, blah, blah, blah. So if you've ever had fundal massage, it's torture. It's not fun. If you're bleeding a lot, it's extra not fun because they got to do it more and more aggressively. So there was a lot that came out with that. And so then they ended up giving me another shot of pit, and they took my blood pressure. It was too low. So they did IV fluids. So all of this, again, at a home birth, like, and I think a lot of times we think that at home births, they're not prepared for things, but there's a huge range of situations that they really are very well prepared for. So yeah, I had another shot of pit, and I had, they hooked up the IV, and I had 2 bags of fluids. And then I ended up they gave me Cytotec as well, which is a super fun process after you've had a baby because it's 3 pills. They go into your bum. So after you pushed everything out and you're really sore, they would shove 3 pills in there. So that's fun. It wasn't fun. I think you can take it orally, but it works faster and better if they put it in your bum. And I think there are other like side effects, like it might make you nauseous or whatever if you take it orally. And I was like, I don't want any other side effects. I already feel like crap. I had Cytotec with my son. Just stick it in there. Let's get it over with. So yeah, so I was I got a few moments. I got a few minutes, definitely, after she was born and before they had to like stabilize me. Where I mean, I wasn't knocking on death's door in those moments, but I got some time to like hold her and be with her, and then things weren't going the way they wanted. So they started working on me. And at that point I was happy to just hand her over to my husband and let him snuggle her and try to breathe and relax because, Pitocin causes contractions and Cytotec causes contractions, and they were doing fundal massage, and it all really was not that, like, that's not a fun process to go through. And so, yeah, I was very cold and I was very shaky after birth, which can be completely related to hormones. Also, getting bags of cold fluids makes you cold. So let's see, she was born at 1. They probably I was probably out of it. I was really out of it for like an hour or 2, I think. That I was just going through, like, trying to get me to a better place, and like my body was just processing. And when you lose a lot of blood, there's a lot that goes on with that. And I don't want it to seem scary because it wasn't scary. Everything was under control and everything was okay. We would have had EMS stay if it wasn't. They would have transferred me to the hospital if it wasn't. We had what we needed to handle the situation as it was. It was just a process. And I was aware of that because I had gone through it with my son. It was just a process and it wasn't fun. But I think going into birth, I kind of had told myself, like, it's going to be really poopy 24 hours, but it's 24 hours, And when I was in birth, I was like, why did I ever get pregnant? What? What is wrong with me? Oh my gosh, this is too much. And then now on the other side of that post-birth, I'm like, oh, I was right. It was a poopy 24 hours, but it was 24 hours. And it wasn't even 24 hours that was like torture. It was like parts of that were really intense and really not fun. So yeah, so I think probably by like 3 in the morning, I was in a much better place. I don't know if I have any footage or not of the shaking and stuff, but I kind of wish I did so that those of you who are interested could see like what that response looks like, so that if it happens to you, you know that it can happen. And that doesn't necessarily mean, call a code, all hands on deck. There's a lot of like hormone changes and things like that, and it can cause some pretty intense shake. Like I was like shaking. And so let's see. Yeah, I was pretty stable, and then at that point, because it was a home birth, baby had been stable the whole time. She was awesome. So then at that point, once I was great and I had kind of come back and was more myself, then they started, looking at her and her size and, all that type of typical stuff. And I think they left at like 5 a.m. Like they were here for a long time, just making sure I was okay, baby was all right, monitoring. If there was a while that they just like were in the kitchen chatting and hanging out and letting us be a family and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it was about 3 when things kind of got back to normal, and then they left around 5. I think they helped me downstairs to my bed. They set it all up. They made sure I had a snack and all the things. Went over the paperwork with me and my husband about like how to handle all the things. I don't remember what all the things are, but the same stuff they tell you in the hospital that they tell you at a home birth. And yeah, so then we went to bed. And my son woke up at my poor husband because we went to bed at like, I think I went to bed at 5 and he went to bed at like 6 and my son was up at like 7. And so my husband got like an hour of sleep and then was on dad duty with a rambunctious 2-year-old. So, yeah, and I stayed in bed until like 1:30 in the afternoon, and then I snuggled on the couch with my son and this babe when my husband took a nap until like 3:30. I've just been recouping since, and then I saw my team today and everything's good. So any footage of all of that with them here, I have to go through and edit and take them out before I can share. And I don't know what it looks like yet. I'm really hoping that there's some really great raw content that I can share with you guys about what it really looks like. And I don't want you to be scared when you see it. I want you to understand what different types of births can look like. And if you think it's going to scare you, then, think about whether or not you want to watch it, because the intent is not to scare people. The intent is, if you're the person that feels that you would benefit and you really want to know what birth looks like in the room and what it feels like and the realities and the intensities that can come along with it. Don't necessarily have to. Every birth is different. But if that's you, if you feel like I would feel so much more confident walking into this situation if I knew, then that's what it's there for. If you feel like that's going to scare the poop out of me, I'm going to be so frightened, I know that's awful, then don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. But if you need that information, if you want that information, that's who I want to have it. So yeah, it was definitely intense. I'm a strong advocate for getting baby in a good position. It makes so much of a difference. Spinning babies is amazing. If you go to spinningbabies.com, you can go to their shop and you can buy I think it's a parent education course. I could be wrong, but I think it's like 16 or $25 or something. And they teach you, it's so much amazing information. And she teaches you stretches and things to do that you can do super regularly, and they don't take a lot of time or effort, that will really help create space inside and balance inside your body so that baby can be in the best position possible. Because I can tell you from experience, when baby is not in a good position, it is difficult. It's difficult. And so, great news is it blows me away. I look at this child and I'm like, how did you come out of my body? First of all, how does that even work? I can't believe you fit in there. Like, you were in this whole thing, plus the placenta, plus fluids, like, was inside my body like a day or two ago. It blows me away. And I didn't tear. I had she came out in a bad position. She came out with her head like this way. All of this is like much wider than if she had come out like this. I didn't tear. I'm such a strong advocate. These are the reasons that I'm such a strong advocate for things like spinning babies and pelvic PT because it makes a difference, and different types of stretches, and really doing there's a routine on YouTube. I'm going to try to put it up on my TikTok. There's a routine on YouTube that I did. It was like a birth prep, like yoga, that made my whole pelvis just feel so open and so amazing. And my team was like remarking today. They were like, we don't know how. Like, I don't, they're like, we don't know if like your pelvis is shaped in like bigger somehow, or like if you just what you did to prep to allow your pelvis to open the way that it did. But the way that she came out, like, and you have no tears, like you did, like you handled that incredible. And I completely attribute that to spinning babies, pelvic PT, and this yoga routine that I did. That just really helps all of those things open up and have the space that you need to come out. And I can tell you that I feel like awesome, strangely awesome. I don't even understand. um, I I don't really hurt that bad. I'm sore because I used a lot of my muscles. I'm tired because I didn't get a lot of sleep. Um, my emotions are amazing. I feel super happy. Which the emotional stuff I definitely attribute to my first birth with my son was traumatic, and this birth was difficult, but nowhere near traumatic. And I'm super happy. And I know it's why I do what I do. It's why I developed the program that I developed to help other people. This is the first time I got to experience the benefits of like the firsthand benefits of like being my own client. And I'm just in such a great place after birth. And so, no, I did not enjoy the fundal massage, and I did not enjoy the intensity of pushing her out. It was a fast birth. My team was here for 2 hours before she was born. I like we went right through it so quickly, and a lot of times with those quicker births, it's like very intense because you're going through all those stages super, super fast. But it was over. It's over. It's over. Like, if you are going to go through birth, um, you may have like the most peaceful, calm, amazing birth and not a ton of pain. It might feel intense, or, you know, it might be just like you you might breeze right through it. And I hope for every single one of you that you do. I do. I hope that so much. Or you might have a really intense birth. Whatever your process is, know that it's gonna end. It's gonna be over. Um, and there is another side. Like you come through to the other side, and hold space. Hold space for your own process, for your baby's process. I am super I'm super glad on this side of it. When birth started, I won't lie to you guys, when birth started, I was like, why am I not at a hospital getting an epidural? What is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? It's like I literally forgot all my reasons for why I was going into this. And I think it was just so intense so quickly that I was like losing my mind a little bit. But I had worked so hard to create an open relationship with my birth team. And I had worked so hard to work on my own trauma and know myself and know what I needed and work on my body. Now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, oh, right, this is why I chose that, because I went to bed in my own bed and I got to just sleep, and I was comfortable, and I'm comfortable here, and I feel great now somehow. And that is what I want. Oh, right, that is what I wanted. So in the midst of it, yeah, I definitely lost my marbles a little bit, but yeah, I was right. It was a hard 24 hours. But I mean, really, it wasn't even a hard 24 hours. It was a long, poopy 24 hours, but it wasn't a hard 24 hours. It was a hard It was not fun from probably like 9 to 11 or 10 to 11, I think. 10 to 11 was like, okay, so 10 to 11:30-ish was probably like ramping from I am no longer confident in my decision to what the heck have I done? This is really intense. But I didn't know that was transition and I didn't know I was in transition. And then like 11:30 is when I was like, my body's gonna push. Or maybe that was midnight-ish. Um, and then she was born at 1. And then, you know, the fundal massage and stuff was a totally different type of poopy doops, but you know, not the same at all as birth. I was like, it's kind of like a contraction. Contractions ramp and come back down. Well, birth is the same way. It ramps and then it's comes back down. It doesn't ramp and then just instantly everything's amazing in my personal experience. You come back down. There's some things to go through, your things to process. And then I was fine. Yeah. Like, so really like 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. was a big yucky. And then I was home with my baby. So yeah, that's about it. So I'm just trying to look at any comments here. Okay. Let's see. So for those of you saying you missed it, if you look at the recordings should still be there of what was actually like recorded. The from 11 p.m. to 1 and on, from 11 p.m. on, was not live because of liability issues for my team. I couldn't actually live that part. So everything before that I recorded should still be there. You can go watch it. And then from 11:30 on, I just have to go through the footage and do editing before I can share any of it. So you haven't missed that being shared. And then once I share it, once I edit it, I'll probably share it in the same like this type of platform. Is it not? Somebody's asking, is there a way we can see it now? I didn't check on the YouTube channel, but I looked on the Facebook. You can go back and see it. So I'll have to check and see. I haven't taken them off YouTube. They should still be there. Oh, the best part about being in EMS is seeing lovely ladies doing at-home births. Do you guys see that often? I had no idea, but it was really funny. They were like, "Thank you." Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, Brianna, that you're finding something positive in my videos. Honestly, I never want to scare anybody about birth. I don't. But I want people that want the information to have the chance to get the information, because we all process things differently. So, if that's the type of information you need, then you should have access to it. And I think birth is, nobody wants to walk away from birth being like, why didn't anybody tell me? It's okay that it's intense. It's okay that it's big. It is. It is those things. It's a human. It's a whole human coming out of your body. How can that not be intense? No matter what choice you make, it's intense. And honestly, for me, I feel so terrible anytime I make a TikTok and I say something in a way that makes people feel offended or hurt. It's never my intention. It's just so hard to say some things in a way that every single person understands. But honestly, for me, I have no judgments about what road you choose for your birth. I obviously chose a home birth. And I can tell you, baby, you want to go to a hospital and get an epidural, I will hold your hand while you get it. I will high five you while you are feeling good. Like I no no judgments here. Like birth is so much and you have to do what is right for you in birth. It has to be about what's right for you and baby. And not everybody wants the same situation, you know? And so yeah, if you're scared, I get it. I do. Um but try to hold space for you and your process and your baby's process. Yes, I do. I have the footage. We need to edit it. Yeah. She does have a lot of hair. Yeah. Not often, but it's some of the best calls that EMTs get. It was so funny. I didn't even really realize that they were there. I knew they came in, but I was just so in birth. I mean, I don't think they were there even a half an hour, you know? So then to turn around and they were just like these giant men in my house just being like, I was like, oh, hey guys, thanks for stopping over. What are some of your suggestions for someone giving birth at a hospital? I want an unmedicated birth with little to no intervention unless absolutely necessary for me or the baby. Totally get it. Yeah. I think spinning babies, pelvic PT, stretches, great, do a good yoga routine, prep, they all help prep your body. And prepping your mind is important. You have to find the outlook that resonates with you. And you have to know why you're doing it. Why are you having an unmedicated birth? Are you choosing it because of the statistics that go along with interventions? Are you choosing it because you're more scared of the interventions and the complications than the pain? Do you have a good reason, or is it, do you have somewhere in your mind that someone told you that the right way to birth is not medicated or medicated? You have to understand yourself because it does push you. It does push you. I've had an unmedicated birth. I've been in the birth world. I knew what I was walking into. I've held many women's hands as they've gone through birth. I did have my doula cert, but then the course got canceled due to complications, and so I haven't gotten back to it yet. But I will be. I love the birth world, and I was like, I can't do this. I was like, why did I make this choice? Because it pushes you. It pushes you. So you have to know why you're doing it, and you have to believe in why you're doing it. And then in those moments where you forget your why, you have to just know that you made the choice for a reason. And I will also say that there is a big difference between enduring birth and suffering through birth. And I don't want anyone to suffer through birth. So when we get to the place that the pain is causing us to go into really dark spaces, know yourself before that. Know whether or not you want to go there. Is your why bigger than that? Should it be bigger than that? Because pain, like there's a certain level of pain that causes trauma. And you have to know yourself. You have to know where those cutoffs are, because there is no shame in having support in the form of people who are applying counter pressure. Counter pressure is a great one for making it through labor. So I would look that up. I'd look up counter pressure and have whoever's on your team helping you with that. Doulas are an incredible resource. I had on my team people who do have doula certs. And so they were able to apply a lot of counter pressure for me, a lot of support for me. If you want to make it through hard situations, I strongly suggest advocating for yourself, knowing what you can't, like knowing your limits and how you advocate and in what situations, and then talking that over with the people on your team and who's supporting you so that they can help you advocate in the situations that you're not able to. It's real. There's so much about good communication that you can talk about ahead of time to really help you through the rough stuff. For me, I have a friend who loves labor. I don't love it. I love supporting other people through it. I don't love doing it myself, but she loves doing it herself. She feels that she did hypnobirthing. So those are things you can look into: hypnobirthing, hypnobabies. It's like self-hypnosis to make the process easier and less painful, help you relax into it. That's a big thing. Relax into it. Don't tense up. The tenser you are, the more you're fighting your body. And you don't want to fight your body. You want to relax and let your body do what it's supposed to do. Birth balls, different positions. Yeah, I had a sensory hammock I used to pull on. It was to like hang on so I could get into different positions. Super, super helpful. I also suggest a great birth course. If you, to anybody, no matter what style of birth you want and what your choices are going to be, I think birth is a huge thing. And the more education you have, the better. So there are some really amazing birth courses out there. There's, I think, Natural Mama? I think Mighty Mama Movement. Those are natural birth courses, I think. Built to Birth, I love her. I don't know if she's on TikTok, but she's on Instagram, and she does have a great course, Built to Birth. I would start looking up courses because that can really help. Like, I know I haven't taken all the courses, but I do have the Built to Birth course, and I love it. I think it's a great course. And she actually has in there, she has positions. So your pelvis needs to open in different ways for different stages of labor. And so she actually has positions that help open your pelvis during the different stages, different positions for different stages of labor. Super great knowledge. It comes with you can print that out and bring it with you because who's going to remember? But you can talk to your birth team about it, and someone on your birth team can be like, okay, let's try this, let's try that. Doulas are great for that too. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. If it's what you want, you shoot for it, go for it, swing hard. Yeah. So I will leave the videos up. And then I will, when I get the footage, whatever, I really don't know how intense the editing is going to be or how long that process is going to take. But when I get that done, then I will, I'll let you guys know, and it will be viewable. Okay. All right. I am going to go change a poopy diaper. Thank you guys. I'm so glad some of you were here to pop on. I didn't think you would be. I was just going to give you guys an update. Yes, I am excited for movie night too. I really am. I'm excited to see it all and go through it. So, all right. Well, I will see you guys later.